Hey class, Mr. Stumbaugh. We are on chapter 2, lesson 8. We are only doing the literal equations part of this. It's virtually the same thing as what we've been doing in 2-6 and 2-4 and 2-3 and then back in chapter 1 and all that jazz. But now you're going to see multiple variables. And they will tell you which one you need to solve for. So you will see it say solve 4m minus 3n equals 8, comma, 4m. 4m means we need to solve to where m is by itself. So with all of the other variables, just kind of treat them as if they were just a regular number. So in this case, we need to get rid of the 3n as if n was a number and we knew what that was. So if we're subtracting 3n in the equation, we need to add 3n to both sides. Now 3n and 8 don't go together because one has a variable and one does not. So all we are left with is 4m here on this side and 3n plus 8. Got to leave it like that. So now we're just down to getting rid of the 4. If it's 4 times m, let's divide both sides by 4. And you'll get 3n plus 8 over 4. Or, if you split it up, because it's just 3/4 times n plus 8/4. The 3n over 4 and the 8 over 4, and we just add them together. 8 over 4 can reduce to 2, so your answer should say 3n over 4 plus 2. On this one, 3x minus 2y equals xz plus 5 for x. Means we are solving for x. Well, let's work with this here on this side. Add 2y to both sides. 2y doesn't combine with anything here. We should have 3x equals xz plus 2y plus 5. Now let's move this x over here to where we have our x's by itself. If this is just 0 plus xz, let's subtract xz, subtract xc. These cannot be combined, so it's not going to be negative 3xz or anything like that. It will be just 3x minus xz equals what's left over here, 2y plus 5. How to get x by itself? We have an x here and an x here. So it's as if we've distributed. We need to go the opposite. We need to pull out an x from each one, and all we have left is 3 minus z. That goes in your parentheses, equals 2y plus 5. Divide by what you have here, because it's just x times this. So let's divide by this. Divide by 3 minus z on both sides. Your answer will say 2y plus 5 divided by 3 minus z. Now remember, our denominator cannot be 0. So if 3 minus z equals 0, z equals 3 for it to be 0. So we need to put that z cannot equal 3. Otherwise, it will give us an error when we try and plug in numbers to our calculator. This is very, very important if you have a denominator here that has a variable. You have to put what the variable cannot equal to where that denominator does not equal 0. Another example, df plus 10 over 6 equals g, and we're solving for f. First thing we want to do is just get rid of that denominator. Multiply both sides by 6. 6 over 6 cancels. We are left with df plus 10 equals 6g. Now it's just virtually a two-step equation. Subtract 10, subtract 10. So now we have df equals 6g minus 10. These cannot be combined, so it's just 6g minus 10. Now we divide both sides by d. D over d will cancel out to 1. So we have f by itself. And all we have is 6g minus 10 over D. And that is your answer for that one. All right, this one says 5 over 9 times V plus W equals Z. And of course, we are going to solve for V. So let's move the W to the other side. Subtract W, subtract W. These don't combine at all, so it's just Z minus W equals 5 over 9 times V, 5/9 V. Well, we can still divide by that whole fraction. And when we divide by a fraction, we flip this fraction and multiply. It's really simple. So now 5/9 becomes 9 over 5 times Z minus W. This has to stay in a quantity by itself. V is now by itself because 5 over 9 and 5 over 9 reduce to 1. So our answer is 9 over 5 times the quantity Z minus W. You can also do it with formulas. If they give you one part of the formula and they want to find a different part, like the circumference is 2 times pi times the radius, and we want to solve for the radius. 2 times pi times r. Let's divide by 2 pi. 2 pi over 2 pi reduces to 1. R is by itself, and now we have C over 2 pi. That's our formula to find the radius. So if I say I have a giant yo-yo that's 32.7 feet in circumference, and I want to know the radius, we're going to use this formula here. 32.7 goes up here and divide by 2 pi, and the radius is roughly 5.2 feet. You can do this for any formula, because most of our formulas are something times something times something, you know. So we're just dividing by whatever we don't need. Your homework, page 128, 2 through 32 evens, and 45 through 53, all of those. Do not do number 18, and do not do letter B on number 28, but still do letter A.